We always say this, played this before, everybody's seen it. Boba Fett, and that's the saying. Boba Fett died like a bitch. He got burped up and shit. That's stupid, man.
It's incredible.
Yeah, people. I might as well. It's a big asshole with teeth in the sand, and it burped. It might as well just farted. We are about to talk about the thing that everybody's talking about this weekend, which is The Mandalorian.
Neither one. Safety deemed such destruction.
The Mandalorian is
You must reunite it.
finished with his second season right now, and people said what a hell of a finale that it was. And it is so big, and everybody's talking about it. You would think that everybody had seen it already, but that is not the case. So we do have to say this will be a very spoilery discussion right here. If you haven't seen it yet, then please don't tune in anymore. We warned you. Turn away, come back and watch it on the VOD after you have all the details out there and you know everything that's happened. Let's go ahead and talk about The Mandalorian, or as we so affectionately call it, Mandy and the Kid. Can't call it Mandy and the Kid no more. It's just Mandy. At this point, he's kidless. We had the final episode where he was forced to pretty much hand the kid over to someone who everybody's familiar with in the Star Wars universe. And what a finale it was. Look, even if you didn't like the episode, or even if you have complaints about what happened with the final episode, about the big appearance that came in, you can't help but shed a tear at the end right here. You know, it was an ending so touching and even made a cold, hard killer cry. He's like, oh yeah, right there. You know, it just made a bitch out of him, man. You know, at the end, he just had tears. Because, you know, he's killed people in some of the coldest, cruelest ways, man. Had a man get eaten alive by space dogs, shooting people in cold blood. But once them little green hands touched his face, oh, he just broke down right there. Didn't care that he looked like a bitch in front of all of his tough friends. People kind of predicted that this is where it was going to go. You know, there's much as people like the series, as hardcore as people say the series is what they always want to see in Star Wars. They wanted this space western. People pretty much were predicting a very emotional ending, and that is what they got. Now, the thing that made people either stand up in their living rooms or throw their chairs back and start cheering, or the thing that made people say like, "Oh, here we go again." Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker came in at the very end. And again, some people were expecting, because Star Wars can't help doing it, they were expecting some cameo from some famous person from the Star Wars movies from back in the day. We already had one with Boba Fett, but somebody said, no, they're going to go bigger with that. And that is what has caused a lot of debate right now. Of course, see, people, we just can't all have Star Wars and agree on it. We all can't just come in and just say, man, that was awesome. No, everybody got to have opinions. Everybody either got to love it or hate it. Very few have middle ground. Will that be us? Well, let's go ahead and have this discussion right now. And Christian and I went on a long time yesterday talking about this. And Christian, opinions change yet?
Not really. If anything, I think the things that I was mad about, I'm more mad about. But I do want to give the series credit, because I don't want this to be this thing where like, oh, Christian's a curmudgeon, he hates everything. That's true, but that's not what's happening here. I want to say that I think that, yeah, that moment at the end with the kind of unmasking, like that's a lovely little moment. And we knew what this show could do. We knew that it had nailed action on par with some of the films, right? We knew that it could do fan service and shit, sometimes to its detriment. But what I think that they hadn't necessarily proven 100% is that they could make this emotional center. Mm-hmm. And I think that they really nailed that. But right now I'm just stuck in really liking it for all the reasons that you brought up. It's this inability to kind of boldly go to new places and to forge a new path forward and make a new history, rather than circling back to their own convoluted mythology. You know what I'm saying? That's my biggest gripe with it, and it's like that hasn't changed, and I don't think it's going to change.
I go on a rant all the time about Star Wars, man. I said I liked the episode, But I said, man, with the Mandalorian, we were supposed to do a little something different, man. It's finally we're getting something where we're getting away from the Jedis. The Empire's gonna have to be in the background, but we're not like just always dealing directly with them like we did in every movie, which eventually happened. But okay, they're a big presence in the universe. That's cool. But mostly, we're not dealing with those Skywalkers anymore, man. Saw them in the movie and how they messed that up, and now we don't have to deal with this at all. I don't mind hearing about rumors of the Force and Jedis as long as Luke don't show his face up. He's like, somebody call my name? Yeah, you, Corey. So I was just kind of like, all right. I guess that's what we're going to do now. I guess that's what Star Wars is. Star Wars is something where I guess instead of thinking like, okay, this is a galaxy, not a neighborhood, not a high school, not a cul-de-sac. This is a galaxy, and I would think that somewhere along the line we would get like other stories where nobody knew each other. And so yeah, I was kind of irritated. I liked the episode. I was with you, man. I kind of teared up at the end when Baby Yoda looked. Man, you can look when Baby Yoda looks up in those eyes. He looks up at him. It really is hard to like not cry at the end of this. And I did, man. I shed a tear or two. But no, I didn't. I'm lying. I choked up a little bit. I wasn't crying at the end of this shit though. But then I started thinking like, before, because I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan out there. I'm a big Star Wars fan, but when you say a big Star Wars fan, people think like you're the person that reads all the books and the comics and you know every bit of mythology. You played every game. You bought every Lego set. And that's not me, man. I don't know every detail like the hardcore fans out there do. So I said, before I start jumping on this and criticizing this for what I've always criticized it for, let me go in and see if this actually makes sense. I had to appreciate that they are trying to course correct what they're doing here, man. I think that when you look at when Mark Hamill shows up as the deep fake Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker shows up. At least that's his voice right there. I was thinking about, all right, how many Jedi are there out there? That's what got me thinking. And does it make sense for him to come in and answer the call of Baby Yoda? And when I thought about that, I was like, yeah, that does kind of make sense for that to happen. Luke is one of few Jedi who are left. And he's the only one out there, I think, that's building a Jedi temple. Now, see, I'm getting nerdy. See, now this is I'm sounding like the fans that all y'all hate right now. I sound like that annoying person who's trying to actually go in and I'm trying to validate all the fan service that they're doing and everything.
Doing mental gymnastics. Well, actually, and then you try to go on some long, convoluted explanation. No, I mean, you're not doing bad so far. No. I don't think that that's what you're doing, but I hear what you're saying. You're like, in terms of available resources, what we know about that timeline and who's still out on the chessboard, it makes sense. There's a very limited number of people it could be. I'm not even taking that away from it.
The reason why Luke probably was looking for what's his name? Grogu. I keep saying Baby Yoda. Grogu, whatever, man. Well, he's the only one that started a temple, and he's got this probably stronger relationship with the same, the same species that trained him, a creature of the same species that trained him. Because I was thinking like, all right, if you got a Jedi temple and you guys are almost extinct, why the fuck you gonna leave? Why you gonna abandon that for some lesser Jedis and run the risk of somebody killing the rest of them when they're probably not even ready? I think maybe because he has a strong connection to this species. Look, we all know, and I'm with you. I'm not that naive to think like, okay, that is why this was written, because of the connection that Luke would have with him. No, they made Baby Yoda. I don't care, you can call him Grogu all day fucking long. It's Baby Yoda because Baby Yoda's gonna sell toys because everybody already recognizes Yoda. I got that. But at least they didn't just put it in there for marketing and fan service. At least they tried to make it make sense. So in that sense, yeah, it does. I tell you, I probably would have been a whole lot better or felt better about this if they had another Jedi come in. I think that would have made more sense, because when they showed up and I saw that green lightsaber, I was like, Luke again. But for a moment I thought, you know what, it would have been cool if it was Cal Kestis from. Did you play Force? What is it? The Jedi Fallen Order?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If it had been people, if you haven't played this game, and if you don't even like playing games, just watch somebody play the game. It's actually at least go online and look at some of the cutscenes because it's a great Star Wars story.
Trust no one. Don't reach within.
You know, I thought it would have been cool. I mean, that's just an example, but there's not many. There are not many Jedi left. There's just a few, which is why I thought it made sense to bring in Ahsoka. You know, Ahsoka is like one of the few Jedi that are left too. And that, again, yeah, is that fan service they brought her in? Yeah, because the fans love her, man. So point is that they didn't do what the movies did. Those movies are like the last trilogy. The last trilogy is fucking terrible, man, because they knew that they had characters that they wanted to put out there that people are familiar with because that's where the money was going to be. They didn't have a story for them. If you bring in these characters and you already have a story for them, you actually do something with them, then I'm fine.
But again, it's just like, and I think you making the suggestion of the Fallen Order, right? It's like, I don't know if the timelines match. That might be the only imposition there, but you're kind of proving my point that like, that's a much more interesting take. Even Ahsoka doing it, even though I know she's like allegianceless, right? She's kind of like, you know, not good or bad, but in the eyes of whatever. But that's a more interesting story as well. I mean, do you think that like chances are we're going to have more time with Baby Yoda, the child, whatever, and Luke in the next seasons?
All right.
Or do you think they're going to remove this completely?
Well, you got one of the most powerful Jedi. Is a baby who, if you're not careful, look, it's a baby that could choke people to death with it, with his mind. So I don't know where the hell Baby Yoda went. I don't know where they hid him. I don't know if he died. I don't know. See, that's the plot hole to me. I don't know what happened with him. I mean, they can explain it like they hid him somewhere. He's training in some temple with somebody special or something. They had to take him away because he's too goddamn dangerous or whatever. So to me, that's a plot hole that came in, which I'm sure they can fix. But as far as do I think Luke will come in? Well, maybe. The guy who played Luke, because a lot of people think that that's completely CGI. Now, they had a young actor who come in, Max Lloyd Jones. I think it's a British actor, young British actor that came in and played, he was the body double for Mark Hamill as young Luke Skywalker. So they just put a bunch of CG on his face and turned him young. And then they just put Mark Hamill's voice in there. Now, there is talk, I don't know if it'll happen, but I know Sebastian Stan has been saying like, look, I look like that motherfucker when he was young. All right, cast me in something. Put me out there. So at this point, and he does, man. I mean, I don't know
already in the Disney family. You know what I'm saying? That should be an easy thing to make happen.
Yep, already in the already hired by Disney in the Disney family. You don't have to. Oh, man, look, they put a bunch of, and I'm sure they didn't do it because they had the Falcon and Winter Soldier coming up, and they didn't want to put Sebastian Stan in there because he's kind of high profile right now. But you didn't need no CG, man. You didn't need none of that stuff. Just put a wig on this dude, and you got it. You know, maybe put a couple of moles on his face or something, give him some brighter blue contacts, and that's it. I would not be surprised. Plus, Sebastian Stan's a little bit older. And I'm being serious. I would not be surprised if they found some kind of way to bring in a slightly older Luke at some point. And I don't know if they'll bring him in The Mandalorian, but now we have Obi-Wan coming up with his own series. They got as we talked about, they have a shitload of Star Wars properties coming out. So do I think that Skywalker could come in and contrary to what I just said, where I understand what they're doing, it does make me nervous knowing that they could probably get Sebastian Stan or somebody to come in and play Luke Skywalker, anybody else, and start just inserting them in any of these shows. And to me, that makes me nervous, but it also says that's a big possibility, especially since they have an actor that they can do this without having to put too much expensive makeup on him.
Right. No, I mean, I think that would be really interesting. And if you're going to do it, it has to be that, because this CGI deep fake shit ain't it. You know?
With what you're saying about the plot holes and the stuff that you have to go back and think about now, these are not real worlds. This is a business. These are stories that people are writing as they go along. And at some point I have to realize, like I had to do this with comic books and Marvel movies and superhero movies. It's like at some point you got to realize the shit is not real. they're gonna be things that change that don't make sense at all. And at some point, you're just gonna have to accept it for what it is now. It's like these people don't exist. These worlds don't exist. So I'm just like, but what exists is these people writing stories and they're constantly twisting and turning and fixing them. Marvel even went through the same thing. Marvel, everybody's able to brush this off because Marvel brushed it under the fucking carpet. But they had that show Inhumans, and Inhumans was supposed to be a big part of the Marvel universe. They had that show. Agents of Shield. Agents of Shield. I can guarantee you, they did stuff on Agents of Shield that they're gonna just kind of forget about when it comes to the movies. They had Ghost Rider on there, which was cool. But do you think that Ghost Rider is going to be part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Probably not. They're probably not going to say shit about it. They're probably going to just recast it and not even mention it anymore. So I just have to accept that they make this stuff up as they go along. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's great, sometimes it's horrible.
If Filoni can go in there and explain it, like, I'm all for it. You know what I mean? But I just want it to still be this thing that is fine doing its own bidding and not feeling like it's all in service of filling in the little holes for everything.
Well, it goes back to the whole thing with Boba Fett, man. Look, Boba Fett was we always say this, played this before, everybody's seen it. Boba Fett, and that's the saying. Boba Fett died like a bitch. He got burped up and shit. That's stupid, man. That is from the new re-edited Lucas version, right? Yeah.
Never let people think that George Lucas was a mad genius for those first three. Like, he's been fucking it up subsequently ever since. It's incredible.
Yeah, shit. I'm surprised. People. I might as well. It's a big asshole with teeth in the sand, and it burped. It might as well just farted, doing that stupid shit. But he went down, and people saw that, and George Lucas even said, "Yeah, look, I didn't mean for him to be shit, but the fans wanted it." And a lot of times when the fans want something, it doesn't always work out that well, man. Sometimes it does, but a lot of times when you just listen to fans and what they want, it doesn't. But they found a way to bring him back, and they had been trying to do that for years. And so bringing him back now, I'm like, all right, so looking at The Mandalorian, I'm thinking, all I'm asking for is that if you're going to bring a character back, make it seem like you're, for the most part, trying to do something with that character. Like, not just bring him back to say, hey, look who's here. No, you actually give them a story. You give them some development. You make them a real character. And I think that that's kind of what they did. Otherwise, I would have been moaning at the news of Boba Fett having his own series, the book of Boba Fett. Because I tell you, man, I did feel like that was even that post-credit scene. Even I thought, like, okay, we didn't have to have that. That's a fan moment right there. I would have rather have seen this. And it's just me. I would have rather have seen this at the beginning of the Boba Fett series instead of doing some Marvel stinger to make the fans cheer.
Puta, what kind of Malian teeth be?
Yeah, bitch, don't try to be nice now. They act like we friends now. No, this was something where I did feel like this does feel like fan service right here. This is a moment where this is what the fans strictly wanted instead of like just pure storytelling. But what I like about it is with Boba Fett, they actually came in and finally made the character a character, and they did it well, at least in my opinion, which is one of the things that I praised the Mandalorian for. The Mandalorian alone, that series alone, has managed to go in and fix a lot of things and satisfy a lot of people on all levels. I know a lot of people have been like, I want to see Boba Fett really bad. And a lot of people have been like, man, will you shut up about fucking Boba Fett? I'm sick of hearing about that dude. He's dead. You just want him because he looks badass. Shut up. He's not a real character. Mandalorian came in and actually, I think, met the middle ground with both people.
I'm like, why does anyone care about this character? Like, he goes out like a bitch. He has nothing resembling a character arc. There's no reason to care about Boba Fett in the original other than, he looks pretty cool. And I think what Mandalorian did was like, all right, don't shut up. It's really interesting they didn't give him his own show, which was speculated, or give him his own movie, which was speculated. They found a way to Trojan horse that in, right? Where we already care about Mandalorian. Oh, the armor looks similar anyway. All the speculation in season 1 of Mandalorian, by me mostly, was like, that actually Boba Fett, right? Like everybody knows this. Turns out that wasn't true. And so immediately when they announced that, Boba Fett got back on everyone's brains. But instead of like, greenlighting that show, they made you care about him in this series first. Was that stinger a little clumsy? Yeah. And from what I've seen online, a lot of people are just very confused by it. They don't understand really what's going on there. And I'm confused about where it leaves us. Are we going to pick up right after this moment, or we're just going to have him like running an empire? Is it going to be the first scene him coming out of the Sarlacc pit? You know what I'm saying? Like, I just want to know how much detail. What are they going to with time? And what's the show that we're going to get as a result? From this?
I just love it that the dude looks like he should be having bagpipes, man. He's going around in that skirt. That's what I want. If anything, I want him to get some pants, man. That's all, because I'm not saying, look, it's not a gay thing, anything like that. It just it looks like he just got up and still has his robe on and still put on the Boba Fett outfit. I'm just so used to seeing the whole attire. So I would love to see him get like an actual suit. But I think overall what they're doing right now and what they've done again with just the Mandalorian alone is that now that they don't have the constraints of the film or the films, now that they're not forced to put all this stuff in there just because they want to make their money, because that's why the new trilogy didn't deal with just Rey and Finn and all those people. And that's why the storytelling was so sloppy, because they were forced to put in Han Solo, Princess Leia, Leia got whatever, they R2-D2, and I'm so sick and tired of seeing C-3PO. I want to take that motherfucker apart and sell him for scraps. I never want to see him again.
Well, that was something about this finale too. When R2 shows up, like on top of Luke, we get another overly familiar character, and everyone loves R2. I'm not gonna be an asshole about it. I'm just saying that it's like, because I agree with you. Whether it's popular opinion or not, The Force Awakens, I think, is so great right up until all the old characters show up. And I think you can feel the momentum of that story coming to a close because of exactly what you said. It's like, oh no, we have to check these familiar boxes. We have to have these characters in it. And that's emblematic of my entire problem with Star Wars, which is like, yes, there's still these moments of like isolated wonder, and you're like, holy shit, this is amazing. This is what it should be, But I think as long as it keeps looking back, it's never going to be able to be great in its own right. It's always going to be tied to this other thing.
Yeah. No, at least R2-D2 showed up and not C-3PO. I'm so sick and tired of C-3PO, man. Because
he could actually talk, because R2's all beeps and boops and you're fine with that. But once a robot gets learned, once he learns a little bit, you're going to come at that robot?
Man, that C-3PO is just again, he hating to use the word, but he's a bitch too. I can't stand him. He complains most of the time. He's all prissy and shit, and he never wants to get dirty. I've never really liked him, man. And and I feel in the last movie really pissed me off, because I felt like, all right, well, this is the moment. I don't hate C-3PO, man. I used to watch this cartoon when I was a kid called Droids. Did you ever see this cartoon?
No, but they're talking about this. They're like, you're really excited because they're remaking it, aren't they?
They're remaking it, and I actually liked it, man. They had an Ewoks cartoon and they had a Droids cartoon, and let me see here, and I actually liked it, man. I have nothing against it. I'll watch the show. Let me see here, Droids intro. It was fun, man. I like the art style. So I'm not against them together, man. I can't wait for the show to come out so I can just have a nostalgic kick with that, man. But as far as the movies go, again, it came from two things in the film. It came from one, Darth Vader building C-3PO. So I'm hating on C-3PO probably for something that's not his fault. Darth Vader built him, and so I felt like, okay, now you really are crowbarring this in here. To connect these things. And then in the last movie, it felt like he was going to have like a nice send-off, like they're going to wipe his memory and he was going to be gone, like pretty much killed. And even that was a red herring, man. That was a fake out. So I'm just kind of like, you know what? I'm sick of what they're doing with this character. The storytelling with this character is becoming very sloppy and bad. So yeah, I was glad that at least he didn't show up. But I will say that with being on television and doing what they're doing now, Star Wars is showing itself to be, first of all, better in the hands of people who know it. Between Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, and even if they want to bring in Kevin Feige, cool. Because as long as it's not within the hands of executives who only know Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and all that shit from the original movie, and they're just forcing all that stuff together, that's cool. With the shows, though, or at least with this show, and I hope with the rest of the shows, they're able now to connect things in a way that makes sense, make things more coherent. Because things have not made sense before. They've been very incoherent. All this shit about the fucking the what do you call it? The emperor being Rey's grandfather. How does anybody like that movie? Knowing that they did that. If you like that shit and you think I'm making excuses, if you make excuses for that shit, then you really are a Star Wars bitch ass fanboy. You just love anything. You just got a Star Wars dick in your ears, mouth, nostrils, in your ass. So I don't even want to hear that. Man.
Every orifice, man. Every orifice.
Stop. This is why this shit happens, because y'all just want every bit of fan service so you can just say, oh my God, I remember that. Look at that. Oh, this over here. Oh my God, I'm crying because of this symbol right here. That kind of shit annoys me. But if you can make it make sense, make it coherent, tell a story, I'm right there with you, man. I can enjoy it, and I can sit up here and make excuses all day long with everybody else. But you just show me you're making an attempt. When it's all said and done, what I'm asking for is that you go ahead and you fix all these things that the movies have messed up with these characters that people love. If you continue to develop them well, then I think everybody can be somewhat happy. I mean, look, okay. You didn't hate that last episode, man. You didn't hate that Luke Skywalker came in. You said you were a little irritated by it, and it kept you from loving things. And I'm the same way. This is keeping me from loving things because I'm cautious about it now. But if they can come in and fix these characters, I'm good with that. But eventually, if you want to keep doing that, can we at least have a balance? Can we keep these legacy characters and these stories all you want. Can we have another area now that we have all these series and you got all this money and you can do television and episodes now? Can we have an area where we're telling stories about characters that have nothing to do with the Skywalker legacy? They don't know any of these motherfuckers over here at all.
But there were two things in this episode that I think flew right under the radar and people aren't really talking about. Mm-hmm. And one of them is the Alderaan thing. What's Gina Carano's name? Is it Cara Dune, right?
Yes. Yeah, something. I don't know.
Something like that. Who gives a shit? Anyway, I don't want to remember her name. They talk because when she's got the guy hostage or whatever, and the Imperial New Republic dude is talking about small price to pay. I was on the Death Star when we killed Alderaan, and it was a small price to pay to stop terrorism. Yeah. Which in the film, in A New Hope, that's the furthest. It's just a fuck you to Leia. They even say in the movie how Alderaan's a peaceful place. You know what I mean? Leia's not operating out of there in the first film. Or ever, because they fucking destroy it. So I thought that was weird. And also midi-chlorians. Okay, are we gonna not acknowledge that they sort of brought up midi-chlorians again? Yeah. Which is the worst fucking advent of those prequels. And I felt like they were just gonna let that die. No one mentioned it again. And they sort of mentioned it in this episode.
Yeah, they had to test his blood and all that kind of thing. Yeah.
He's got special properties in his blood. Why the fuck do we need to go back to that burnt down laundromat of a storyline?
I got nothing for that, and that annoyed me too. I'm 100% with you on that. Look, I'm telling you, I'm not clashing with you just to clash with you, man. If it's look, if you make some sense to me, and we agree 100%. Midichlorians is one of the worst things they've done in Star Wars, man. It went from a Zen training to you got to be born a mutant. So it's nah, man. I don't want to hear that shit. As far as Alderaan goes, I think what happens is they destroyed Alderaan, and then they spread propaganda that they had terrorists on the planet, or they were up to no good.
Okay. All right, that makes more sense. Well, the guy said he was on the Death Star. I think he would know that it wasn't, but whatever. It doesn't really matter.
But you know how it is, man. Look,
the midichlorians is really the hill that I want to die on, and I'm glad that you're willing to die next to me.
Well, I'm just saying, look, you got people today who know that Trump is full of shit, and they will still say things that they know doesn't make sense, because now they've convinced themselves.
Well, let me ask you, man. You brought up a really interesting point. Let's talk about it, which is all right, I have two weird ideas. I don't know how viable they are, but I think that this is such an expansive sandbox, and our main complaint, even if they do it well, is still that we don't need to know a Skywalker. I don't need a baby Yoda or a teenage Yoda or any of that shit. I just want to go to a corner of the galaxy, which is so far removed from this, where I can tell any kind of story I want in the sandbox of Star Wars. I mean, is there anything personally that you're like, well, I would love to see this, and you hope that maybe that's a future path for Star Wars?
At this point, and we talked about this yesterday, I don't know what I want. I know what I don't want. It's gotten to that point now. Sure. I've stopped asking for things I want. I'm asking for things that I don't want. I just listed off a long list of things that I would like to not see anymore, or if I do see it, I'd like to see it in conjunction with something else. But you had an interesting idea yesterday.
Yeah, look, I've said for the longest time, and I think most people would agree with this, Star Wars is at its best when you can mix it with another genre. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's already inherently in its DNA. We see the samurai films of Akira Kurosawa, the spaghetti westerns of Sergio Leone. Mm-hmm. All that stuff really inspires the aesthetic of it. And The Mandalorian, so many of those tropes, and we're all like going gaga over it. But I want to do something that, like, I would love to, it's Star Wars is so swashbuckling, and it's always like, we got to go from this planet to that planet to this place. But we never really get on the ground level for an extended period of time. And even though it's only really introduced in the prequels, and then I think Lucas went back and put it in Return of the Jedi, Coruscant, that city planet, it's just a giant fucking planet that's just the Citadel, basically, and there's 2 trillion people on that. I would love to do like a Blade Runner meets The Third Man, like neo-noir set in the streets of this place, where we don't go off planet, where we don't necessarily around with a Jedi or any of that stuff. You can tell like darker stories within that prism, and it can be still Star Wars, and it could be the population breakdown is that there's 36% different species on that. I went hard on the research on this. I don't know if you could tell. So it's like you can have a bunch of new creatures and a bunch of new species, and it can still feel like Star Wars, but it can be grounded storytelling. You know what I'm saying? That's what I think's missing. Everything is just too self-serious and too grand. And I would like to take kind of a micro level perspective on it.
I think somebody made a great point here in the chat.
Oh, they're gonna kill it like you. They're gonna smother my baby in its crib.
No. Somebody has said something really cool in the chat, man. Somebody said, there you go. The Black Knight says horror Star Wars, and that would actually make sense. They've had a look. They got so many scenes. In every movie where they're running from creatures and monsters. Man, if you look at it, like there's been about 3 episodes of The Mandalorian where they're monster movies. Right. I'm reading. I might pick it back up. I got halfway through it until I forgot why I stopped reading it. But I was reading a Star Wars zombie book.
What?
It was
but you're proving my point, which is anything plus Star Wars. Like, we have this expansive universe, and we could do anything we want. There's an image. I remember when Phantom Menace was coming out, and for me, it was like, holy shit, this is gonna be great. I was 9. I'm sorry, I was stupid. Okay, but it's that image of Anakin and the shadow being cast as Vader. And I still think, like, for as bad as those prequels are, it's a pretty dope image, right? But I think that is the perfect metaphor for kind of what Star Wars is right now. Like, there is this looming shadow that it's always going to cast unless it decides to, break away from that. And I'm not saying my noir idea is particularly original or anything like that, but when you see that world and what you saw Blade Runner and all this stuff, we can do futuristic stuff. It's just like we can do anything, and we can make it human, personal stories that aren't tied into the Force or anything. You had a really good idea. I just like the idea of the Force being this thing that we perceive like Scientology or like astrology. Like, some people believe in that, but it's hogwash. No, the Force isn't real. Like, it's this background character that, like, of course we know the Force is real, but think about a place that is devoid of all hope, that's had like boots on their neck, and like there's no, hope is a dangerous thing, Andy, is what they said in Shawshank.
Sun God said, Mando girls do get it done. In case y'all don't mention this, if I could highlight a positive on this season, I believe they did a great job of showcasing badass females, older ones at that, without feeling forced or pandering to feminism. Your thoughts? 100% agree with you on that, my man. That episode, the Osaka episode, man, that is the best episode, I think, out of all of it. I thought this one was well filmed. I thought it was, I liked the tone of it. I liked how things spoke more with action than with words for a lot of it. So, yeah, man, I thought that they, between her and, was it Bo-Katan or whatever?
Yeah, Bo-Katan I thought was really great in this, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, what's her name? Satchwick?
Katie Sackhoff.
Katie Sackhoff. Yeah, she was great, man. So yeah, no, they did a great job without having to go, all in. Look at this girl power, female power. They didn't have to like put it in a way that didn't feel like it was phony. So yeah, I 100% agree with you on that, man. And I'm liking the chats I did, man. They're saying, Darth Vader is in the right context, man. Darth Vader is a horror character himself. Rogue One, man, that was a scene straight out of a horror flick when he shows up. Oh, y'all fucked up. That's a horror icon intro right there. That's no longer just Darth Vader. Something in the dark, heavy breathing, red ass light, and he just starts going in on people. See, what you gotta do? Talk about, open this fucking door, help, man, shit! This motherfucker's crazy. You got Leonard Nimoy up here screaming his ass off. Yeah, man, that's a horror moment right there. So there's so many different genres that we can expand to if we just get off of this other shit. Like I say, I understand. I like that they've taken some things and they're making it make sense. I like that it shows me that they're trying. That you know what? That's what this was. With this scene with Luke Skywalker, it showed me that they're trying. But at this point, all right, let's if we can, let's move on. So anyway.